You're holding a stock right now that you completely misunderstand. You bought it for one reason, but it is behaving in a completely different way. You bought it expecting it to grow like a racehorse, but it's acting like a workhorse. Or worse, you bought a workhorse, and you're wondering why it isn't winning the Kentucky Derby. This is the single biggest reason amateurs lose money. It's the reason you are losing money. You're mixing them up. Welcome back to the Everyday Edge. In our first two episodes, we established your unfair advantage and dismantled the invest in what you know trap. We learned that knowing a product is only step one. Today, we begin the real homework. Peter Lynch believed that before you look at a single number, before you check the P/E ratio, before you look at debt, you must ask one simple question: what kind of stock is this? He created a framework, a sorting hat for investing. He argued that every company in the world falls into one of 6 distinct categories. Why does this matter? Because you cannot use the same strategy for every stock. You wouldn't use a screwdriver to hammer a nail. So why are you using a buy and hold strategy on a stock that is designed to be sold in 2 years? If you misidentify the category, you'll misidentify the history. And if you get the story wrong, you are guaranteed to lose. Today, we're going to learn the 6 categories of stocks. This is the most important lesson you will ever learn from Peter Lynch. Pay attention. Chapter 1. The slow growers, the utilities. First, we have the slow growers. These are the big, old, lumbering giants of the economy. These are companies that have reached maturity. They've conquered their market, and now they grow just a little bit faster than the national economy. Maybe 4% a year. Think of the electric utilities, the water companies. In Lynch's day, telephone companies like AT&T were the perfect example. Why would Peter Lynch, a growth investor, ever buy one? For one reason and one reason only: the dividend. These companies make so much money and have so few places to invest it, they give it back to you, the shareholder, as a regular check. The strategy. The strategy here is not growth. It's Syncamine stability. You buy a slow grower for its reliable, generous dividend. You hold it as a defensive anchor in your portfolio. When a market panics, these stocks barely move. The pitfall, and this is the trap. Number 1, you mistake it for a growth stock. You won't get rich here. Number 2, the company gets bored. A slow grower that tries to become a fast grower is a terrifying thing. This is called diworsification. They use their cash to buy a flashy, unrelated business they don't understand and destroy shareholder value. Number 3, they cut the dividend. The reason to own it is the dividend. If they cut it, the story is broken. You sell. Lynch said he owned some, but only when they were paying a high, secure dividend. This is the workhorse. Do not expect it to run. Chapter 2. The Stalwarts, the blue chips. Second, we have the Stalwarts. The name says it all. These are the rocks of your portfolio. These are the multi-billion-dollar household name companies. The Coca-Colas, the Procter & Gamble's, the Johnson & Johnson's. They aren't slow growers. They still grow at a healthy, consistent 10 to 12% per year. But they aren't fast growers either. They're too big. It takes a lot to move the needle for Coca-Cola. The strategy. Stalwarts are your best friend in a recession. These are the companies people still buy from when they lose their jobs. People still buy toothpaste. They still buy Coke. Lynch loves Stalwarts at the right price. His strategy was not to buy and hold forever. His strategy was to buy them when they were fairly priced, hold them for a 30, 40, or 50% gain, and then sell them, and move the money to another stalwart that hadn't moved yet. He rotated them. He said, I always keep a few stalwarts in my portfolio. They are your protection in a downturn. The pitfall, overpaying. Just because a company is good does not mean it is a good investment. Lynch warned, there is no company, no matter how wonderful, that is worth 50 times earnings. Today, investors fall in love with stalwarts like Apple or Microsoft and are willing to pay an IPRIS. That is a mistake. A stalwart bought at a fast grower price will lead to a decade of disappointment. Chapter 3. The Fast Growers, the Tenbaggers. Third, we have the fast growers. This is where Peter Lynch made his legend. These are the small, aggressive, often new companies that are growing at 20, 25, even 30% per year. This is where you find the Tenbagger, the stock that goes up 10 to 1 and changes your life. These are companies that have a great product and a clear plan to expand. In Lynch's day, this was the Gap, Taco Bell, or Microsoft in the 1980s. They were just beginning to roll out their stores or their software across the country. The strategy. This is the most research-intensive category. Your everyday edge helps you find them, but the homework is critical. You look for a company with a strong balance sheet, low debt, a proven concept in 1 or 2 markets, and a huge runway for growth. Lynch's rule was to water the flowers. This means you don't just buy it and forget it. You buy it, and you verify the story every single quarter. Is the growth slowing? Is the competition catching up? The pitfalls, and there are many. This category carries the most risk. Number 1, price. Everyone wants the next big thing, so these stocks get expensive fast. This is where the PEG ratio, which we will cover later, is your most important tool. Number 2, saturation. The company simply runs out of room to grow. A restaurant chain that has 100 stores can easily open 100 more. A chain that has 10,000 stores cannot. The story changes. Number 3, bankruptcy. They are often young. A weak balance sheet, too much debt, and one bad recession can wipe them out completely. Fast growers can make you rich. They can also go to zero. You must do the homework. Chapter 4. The Cyclicals, the timer's game. Fourth, we have the Cyclicals. This is, without a doubt, the most dangerous category for amateurs. A cyclical is a company whose sales and profits rise and fall in a predictable or semi-predictable cycle. These are not consistent. They have huge, glorious booms, followed by devastating, terrible busts. Think the auto industry. Ford, General Motors. Think airlines. Think steel companies, chemical companies, tire companies. When the economy is strong, everyone buys new cars. Ford's profits go through the roof. The stock soars. When a recession hits, the first thing people stop doing is buying new cars. Ford's profits vanish. The stock collapses. The strategy, this category ISIL about timing. You buy a cyclical at the bottom off the bust, when the company is losing money, when the headlines are terrible, and when everything looks hopeless. You then hold it as the economy recovers. You sell it at fed up off the boom, when profits are at their peak, when the PE ratio looks cheap, and when all the news is fantastic. The pitfall, the ultimate trap. The amateur does the exact opposite. They buy the cyclical at fed up off the boom because the PE ratio looks incredibly low. The E, earnings, is high, so the P, looks small. They think, wow, Ford is only trading at 3 times earnings. It's so cheap, but that is the peak. The cycle turns. The earnings disappear. The stock collapses 80%, and the amateur is destroyed. Lynch warned, in a cyclical, timing is everything, and you have to detect the early signs of a turn. This is where your everyday edge is critical. If you work in the auto industry, you know when the cycle is turning 6 months before Wall Street does. Chapter 5. The turnarounds, the broken ones. Fifth, we have the turnarounds. These are the broken companies. The companies that have been hit by a disaster, a scandal, or are on the verge of bankruptcy. Lynch loved this category. High risk, massive reward. Unlike a cyclical, turnarounds problems are not tied to the economy. They are tied to a specific internal company problem. His most famous example, Chrysler. In the early 1980s, Chrysler was going bankrupt. They were a joke. But Lynch investigated. He saw they had a new, brilliant CEO, Lee Iacocca. He saw they had a government loan, a lifeline, and he saw they had 2 monster hit products, the K car and the minivan. He bought the stock when it was near dead. The minivans saved the company, and the stock was one of the biggest Tenbaggers of his career. The strategy: you are a detective. You must identify the problem. Is it fixable? Does the new management have a plan? Most importantly, how much cash do they have? Do they have enough cash to survive a turnaround? If they live, the stock will soar because expectations are zero. The pitfall: they might just die. The turnaround fails. The new CEO isn't a hero. The debt is too high. The company goes to Chapter 11, and your stock goes to zero. You must check the balance sheet for cash. No cash, no turnaround. Chapter 6, the asset plays, the hidden treasure. Finally, the sixth category, the asset plays. This is the everyday edge in its purest form. An asset play is a company that is sitting on something valuable, something that the market has completely overlooked. The value isn't in the quarterly earnings. The value is on the balance sheet. What kind of asset? Real estate. A sleepy company that owns acres of priceless land in a major city. Cash. A boring company that is trading for less than the cash it has in the bank. A hidden brand. A brand name that is valuable, but is buried inside a failing parent company. A tax break. The strategy: you are a treasure hunter. You find a hidden asset. You calculate its real value. You buy the stock, which is trading for less than that single asset is worth. And then you wait. You wait for the market or an activist investor to discover the treasure, unlock it, and send the stock price soaring to its true value. The pitfall: patience. The asset might be trapped. The management might be terrible and never unlock the value. Lynch said you can wait a long time for these. But when they hit big. This is where your local knowledge is most powerful. You know that real estate is valuable. You know that brand is loved. Wall Street does not. Let's recap. The slow grower, the stalwart, the fast grower, the cyclical, the turnaround, the asset play. These are the 6 categories. From this moment on, you can't ever look at a stock the same way again. You must know the category. Why? Because the category defines the story. The story of a fast grower is about growth and expansion. The story of a Cyclicals about economic timing. The story of a turnaround is about survival and recovery. The story of an asset play is about hidden value. You are losing money because you are buying a cyclical but expecting a fast grower story. You are disappointed because you are buying a stalwart but expecting a Tenbagger. You cannot ask, is this a good stock? You must first ask, what kind of stock is this? This is the sorting hat. This is the foundation for all analysis. Now, the homework can truly begin. In our next episode, we will apply this framework. We will go on the hunt for a Tenbagger at your local mall. Thank you for watching The Everyday Edge. Sort your stocks, know the story, subscribe, and I will see you in episode 4.